Morning, folks. I'm on a Honda CB250R. It's very, very small. Also, my visor's just fogged up. Brilliant. I have this as a loan bike for the day. My own bike, 650 V-Strom, is in getting serviced at Future Sport Motorcycles. So they gave me this to fang about on while that's being done. So the first thing I'll do is take it down the main truck route into the port to see how terrifying this little 250cc beastie is on a highway that's probably lined with road trains. Alright, let's see how she handles a highway. Doesn't appear to be any trucks so far, and I better slow down here because this place has often got speed traps set up and we're still in an 80 zone. Oh wow, we've got a parade of military equipment here. Awesome. Tanks. Class. For those of you who don't know, Townsville is a major military city, and occasionally you do see military equipment of all shapes and sizes just randomly driving around the town. It's pretty mad. Still in the 80 zone. There's where they break down all the road trains into single and double trailer units for going down the Bruce Highway, which doesn't allow... oh god. Okay, I thought he was going to pull out in front of me, then we would have had a problem. Because while this bike is quite admirably coping with going 100 kilometers an hour, I don't know how much I would want to overtake a road train in it. So there you go, she's pulling about 6 grand at 100 kilometers an hour, which is pretty reasonable actually, and she gets up to speed pretty quickly. It is only a 250cc engine, yeah, but it is a very, very small and very, very light bike. So it certainly has more than adequate power. Oh god. Ooh. There was a bit of a backwash off of that road train. But yeah, it gets up to speed pretty quickly, and you can certainly do the highways of Australia on it. Wouldn't be the most comfortable vehicle in the world for doing it, but I'm actually surprisingly okay in it. The seating position is fairly upright, you're not too hunched over, the seat's pretty hard, and my legs are pretty tucked up underneath me, although at 6'3.5" I'm probably considerably taller than what this bike was originally designed for. One minor gripe I have with it so far is the instrument cluster. While it's logically laid out, all that sort of stuff, it has everything you'd realistically need except for a gear position indicator, which is a bit of an annoyance in what is a very popular beginner bike. It's that the digital speed readout here is just out of my line of sight, and as such I keep having to constantly look down at it to see how fast I'm going. That can be a bit of an annoyance in a country like Australia, which is fond of a speed camera, especially in the larger cities, shall we say. So that's getting on my nerves a little bit. A relatively minor problem though, and I'd say the fact that I'm so tall is probably a major contributing factor in that. I really do like small bikes like this. They're absolutely brilliant for cities. You can lane filter in them so easily. They're narrow, they're light, But my favourite thing about riding small motorcycles like this is that you can use all of the power all of the time. You can rev it out in every gear, and you don't really have to worry about getting into too much trouble, as long as you're not going over the speed limit or whatever. But even in a town or in a city such as the beautiful, if not slightly crime-infested Townsville, you can really fang this bike about the place, and that is so much fun to do. Like, my own bike is a 650 Strom, which is by no means a powerhouse, but around the city I can't even go revving that out in every gear. I don't think I've ever actually redlined it ever, whereas in this you do have to really give the throttle a good twist, and that's what's fun. Hello, traffic cops. I suppose one downside to all this is that I probably won't be outrunning that police issue Kia Stinger twin turbo in this if I do get caught acting the maggot. Okay, so here comes a prime example of why small bikes in cities are about the most fun you can have. A roundabout leading into a hill. Woohoo! Didn't even break any laws there. Okay, here's the filter test. That's quite a narrow gap there. Still haven't put my foot down. Too easy. In city traffic, I'm telling you, this bike is faster than a V4 Panigale. Now, I know the CB250R is an old bike that has been out of production for a fair few years now, but that's a good thing, especially if you are a beginner motorcyclist who wants something cheap and reliable to learn on, because you can get a good one of these from a dealer, which will come with a roadworthy, have been serviced, and probably come with a few months rego for what, $2,500, and that is really good value for something that has enough power for you to use every day, but will not be absolutely terrifying for a beginner rider. And it's enough to have fun on. You know, you'll still be able to have a bit of a laugh on this bike. And when you do outgrow the power, which you will, you'll probably only keep a bike like this for 6 months realistically, you'll probably be able to sell it for near what you paid for it. I'm not exactly sure what year this one is, but it has 35,750 kilometers on the clock, and it is as smooth as silk. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And because it's a Honda, well, this hill is steep. Because it's a Honda, it'll never go wrong. And if anything does need to be changed, it'll cost you about 70 cents for the part. Absolutely ideal if you're a new rider and you want something fun, reliable, and not terrifying to begin with. Now, obviously licensing restrictions vary from country to country, and you know, obviously the rules that apply in, say, Australia don't apply to other countries, but in Australia you can start on anything under a 660cc bike, depending on its power to weight ratio. So like, you can't start on an R6, for example, which is probably for the best. But I always recommend starting on a 250. I think you learn the basics of a motorcycle better on a smaller bike, and if you can ride a small bike well, then you'll be able to ride a big bike well. So if you are a newish or soon to be rider and you're looking for a beginner bike, buy one of these. It'll cost you $2.5 grand, and you'll sell it 6 months later when you're sick of it for $2.5 grand. God, it's a lovely morning. Ooh, road's a bit greasy. We've had some rain lately. I do like the handling on this bike. I know I'm only going, what, 40 kilometers an hour along the beachfront here, but it feels so light and flickable. She leans over so easily. I'd say even my mother could get a knee down on this thing. Ooh, that's a fancy looking Harley. So much chrome. It has to be said that the traditional beginner bike class has certainly moved on since this bike's heyday in the mid to late 2000s. Most of the traditional 250cc beginner bikes are now 320, 370 or 400cc. You know, like the R3, the KTM 390s, which are actually 370cc, and the Ninja 400. And they provide the same thing that this bike does, only better, I guess. You know, the power is still usable on them, and they're still not intimidating to newer riders, but they're just that little bit bigger and faster and arguably more comfortable. But there is still definitely a place in the world for this humble little 250cc Honda. As a value proposition, as I said earlier, it's hard to sneeze at. Like I said, if you want a cheap, reliable bike to learn the basics of riding a motorcycle on, this is absolutely perfect. It really is. Okay, we'll do a little bit of roll-on acceleration here from 60 to 80 in third gear. Yeah, she does okay. Does its best work at higher RPM, as you could probably imagine. But it certainly has enough for everyday riding, certainly in a city environment anyway. Another small little gripe I have with it is that the handlebars are quite vibey. As such, my right hand in particular, my throttle hand, is tingling a little bit as a result of it. I'd imagine that I'd get a bit tiresome on a longer journey, but again, this is only a small thing really, and if you are going on a longer journey on it, just get one of those cruise control thingies you can buy. Problem solved. One more thing of note to any beginner rider who may be interested in this bike: it does not have ABS. Now, I'm not going to get into a big debate over whether a beginner bike should or should not have ABS. Personally, I think it should. There's a lot of differing views on that one, and I'm not really in the mood for getting into some big shit fight in the comment section over that. But if that's something that's important to you, it is definitely worth noting that this does not have ABS. Okay, we will do a walk around down here somewhere, if I can find somewhere quiet. Crap, there's a lot of cars here today. No, I'll find somewhere. Anyway, yeah, I'll do a walk around, put up all the relevant facts and figures, all of that stuff. it is worth remembering if you are looking at a bike like this is that they are pretty small. So I'll just show you a little video of my lanky arse scrunched up on it. So yeah, it's small. Not terribly uncomfortable though. I have to say that I do like the looks of it as well. It's handsome, but kind of subtle. I do like the silver wheels with the black paint job. It's a cool looking bike. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. The Honda CB250R. She may be getting on a bit, but she still definitely has a place in the modern motorcycling world. I like it, but I do like small little bikes like this anyway, so it was always going to find a fan in me. But yeah, if you're a beginner rider and you're looking for something cheap and reliable to learn the ropes on, you really can't do much better. Pay $2.5 grand for one from a dealer, and then 6 months later you'll pretty much be able to sell it for what you paid for it. Good job, little Honda. Now I'm going to go and put fuel into it. Of course, because it's a 250, even though it's down to the last bar of fuel, I'll still probably get another 100 kilometers out of her. Anyway, good luck.